Hi everyone, I'm Andy and this is the AI Breakdown. Welcome to your weekly news edition where I'll cover what happened in AI last week, why it matters, all in about 10 minutes. Let's start with Mastercard's attempt to get ahead of what people are calling agentic commerce, where AI assistants don't just recommend things, but actually buy them. Mastercard says it's expanding its Agent Pay framework and it's deepening partnerships with Google and Microsoft so AI shopping agents can transact safely on your behalf. Mastercard Agent Pay is going into Microsoft's Copilot checkout and also into OpenAI's ChatGPT-based instant checkout program. So in practice, you could be in a chat or voice session, your assistant finds what you want, and then the payment happens right there without you doing the normal checkout dance. Mastercard's pitch is straightforward. If we're going to let software spend real money, we need proper rules. They're talking about verifying an agent's identity, tokenizing payment credentials so your card details aren't flying around the internet, and building in spending guardrails. And they're refocusing their StartPath startup program on AI-powered payment and identity verification. The reason this matters isn't just convenience, it could reshape discovery and conversion. If an agent is doing the browsing and the checkout, brands might end up optimizing for the agent, not the human. Mastercard even points to forecasts like McKinsey's estimate that up to $1 trillion of US retail sales by 2030 could involve AI assistance. Sentiment-wise, it's cautious optimism. Mastercard's Sherry Hammond nailed the core issue, saying, "Agentic commerce will only scale at the speed of trust." I completely agree. Most of us still like to look at the basket before we pay, even with one-click buying. So adoption might be slower than the infrastructure. Speaking of assistants, Apple is apparently done pretending Siri is fine. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports Apple is rebuilding Siri into a ChatGPT-like chatbot, codenamed Campos. The idea is a system-wide conversational assistant, deeply integrated into iOS and macOS, that can handle open-ended questions and more complex tasks. The report also says Apple has been working with Google's AI team, and the Siri upgrade may use a custom model from Gemini as part of a multi-year partnership. Timeline-wise, Apple could preview it at the Worldwide Developer Conference in June, and then launch it with iOS 27 and the next macOS in September. If Apple pulls this off, it changes how people use devices, as you won't need to download separate AI apps. It'll just be there, built in, for hundreds of millions of people. The mood online is exactly what you'd expect. There is excitement mixed with a lot of impatience, including from me. I'm sat here with my currently dumb iPhone 16 Pro, sold on the promise of their AI strategy. Fingers crossed they are finally getting their act together. Apple has to prove it can ship something reliable here, as their credibility, when it comes to AI, is at an all-time low. YouTube is also leaning into AI in a way that will either feel like a productivity miracle or will accelerate pointless AI content. CEO Neil Mohan says that later in 2026, creators will be able to make YouTube shorts using AI-generated versions of their own likeness. So, a digital clone of you doing the presenting, potentially speaking multiple languages or styles, without you actually being on camera every time. YouTube didn't share much about how it works yet, but it's part of a broader bundle. AI tools to create simple games from text prompts and tools to experiment with music. They've already rolled out AI dubbing and AI analytics coach, and they're testing auto-generated highlights for shorts. This matters because it normalizes AI-generated video on the biggest video platform on Earth. For creators, it's obvious: scale. Take a script, generate a short, localize it, post it, repeat. For brands, it raises a slightly wild future where you're not just sponsoring a creator, you might be licensing their avatar for hundreds of personalized ad variations. But authenticity is the tension. YouTube itself is rightly worried about AI slop, Mohan's words, and says it's expanding systems to catch spammy, repetitive, low-quality AI content. Public reaction is mixed. My take is, if YouTube does strong consent and clear disclosure, like visibly saying it's an AI likeness, this could be a great tool. If it becomes a shortcut to flood the feed, everyone loses. And while we're on content creation, Adobe is going in the opposite direction to the anything goes vibe. They're developing something called Firefly Foundry, private generative AI models for big studios and brands that are trained only on the client's own IP. Adobe is calling these private IP-safe models, and the promise is you get the speed of Gen AI without the legal heartburn over copyright concerns. The plan is that a studio or brand could have a model trained on their characters, art style guides, audio clips, whatever they own, so outputs stay on brand and, crucially, within rights they control. Adobe says it's meant to accelerate creativity without eroding ownership or creative intent, and it's partnering with Hollywood talent agencies like CAA and others. So we're heading toward a two-tier world: public models for general use and private models for companies who can't risk lawsuits or brand damage. Now, two OpenAI stories that are basically about growing up as a platform. First, OpenAI has rolled out new age-based safeguards in ChatGPT. It's using an AI age prediction model that looks at signals like self-reported age, account age, time of usage, and interaction patterns. If it thinks you're under 18, it automatically applies stricter filters, a kind of PG-13 mode, blocking graphic violence and gore, sexual or romantic roleplay, content glorifying risky challenges, self-harm discussions, and even stuff promoting extreme beauty standards or unhealthy dieting. Adults who get misclassified can opt out by verifying age with a selfie or ID. This is global, except the EU at launch, which OpenAI says will follow in the coming weeks once they have handled compliance. Second, OpenAI announced OpenAI for Countries, aimed at helping governments adopt AI and build data center infrastructure. They want to partner with national governments on AI in public services, education, healthcare, disaster response, and encourage more local compute. And the headline political detail is that former UK Chancellor George Osborne is leading the initiative alongside OpenAI's global affairs team. They even pointed to Estonia rolling out ChatGPT EDU across secondary schools nationwide. Why do these matter? Together, they signal OpenAI is trying to become less of a viral app and more of a long-term institution. Safety modes, government partnerships, infrastructure, the whole thing. Sentiment on the youth safeguards has been largely positive among parents and educators, with predictable privacy questions. Sentiment on the government initiative is mostly welcoming, but with a real undercurrent of sovereignty concerns. The AI layer is becoming regulated, audited, and embedded in public systems. If you're building anything consumer-facing, you'll need to think about age gates and safety. And if you're building for the public sector, the bar for trust and compliance is only going up. A quick one from Microsoft. It's updating Microsoft 365 Copilot with something called Real Talk, and it's also testing short video generation in the Copilot mobile app. Real Talk is basically Microsoft admitting that the future of work isn't barking prompts at a bot, like it's a misbehaving dog. You can pick different tones and depth. Copilot will remember more conversational context, and it'll give you some visibility into its reasoning process, which is clearly aimed at building trust. Then there's the experimental Create a Video feature, where you type a prompt and Copilot generates a short clip with the audio. If this lands, it means Office becomes a lightweight content studio. For small teams, that's potentially huge. For everyone else, it's another reminder that multimodal AI is sneaking into the tools we already pay for. Two more enterprise stories to round this out. First, Nvidia dropped its State of AI in Retail and Consumer Packaged Goods survey, and the numbers are properly telling. 58% of companies say they're actively deploying AI solutions, up from 42% the year before, and 91% are at least experimenting or evaluating AI, which basically means if you're a retailer not doing AI right now, you're the odd one out. Even better, it's not just vibes. 89% of retail leaders said AI contributed to revenue growth, and 95% said it helped reduce annual costs, and 92% plan to increase AI budgets in the next year. Digital commerce, e-commerce, marketing, advertising has become a top use case used by 61% of firms, and nearly half, 47%, are using or testing agentic AI that can act on customer intent. The top goals for those agents were speeding up service at 57%, and then enhancing customer experiences and improving real-time decision-making, both at 40%. Nvidia's angle is also interesting. It's pushing an open and interoperable approach. 79% of respondents said integrating open source AI is important, largely because they want control and the ability to customize with their own data. Nvidia even released 2 open source AI blueprints, one for a multi-agent intelligent warehouse and one for retail catalog enrichment. Second, Citi is a great example of what scaling AI internally actually looks like. They've built an internal AI workforce of roughly 4,000 employees by training volunteers as AI champions and AI accelerators. More than 70% of Citi's 182,000 staff now use firm-approved AI tools for summarizing, drafting, analyzing data, and coding. Not a flashy moonshot, just making AI part of the infrastructure. That's all for this week's AI Roundup. If you found value in this breakdown, please leave a rating and hit subscribe. See you next week.